ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामो राम रामो हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome all of you all for a weekly Gita class. So we are discussing the third chapter of Bhagavad-Gita entitled Karma Yoga. We are going to discuss from verse number 29 onwards. So this verse is like this. Prakrtir guna sammudha sajante guna karmashu tan akrishna vido mandan krishna vinna vichalyayet. Word to word, prakriti of material nature, guna by the modes, sammudha befooled by material identification, sajante they become engaged, guna karmashu in material activities, tan those, akrishna vidha persons with poor fund of knowledge, mandan lazy to understand self realization, krishna with one who is in factual knowledge, no not vichalaye should try to agitate. The translation is like this: bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. So here, Krishna is telling Arjuna that we may understand the process of bhakti, we may understand what is the highest level, but how we deal with others, because this material world is filled with people who are mudha, befooled by material identification. So Prabhupada explains here that this material world means people have wrong identification. People think that the land in which they are born is worshipable. They think that bodily collections, the relationships that they have is mine, they identify with that. They identify with their body, with their religion, all material designations. So we, right from our birth, we are just adding more and more material designations. When we are born, the soul doesn't have any name. The child doesn't have any name other than Krishna Das. As spirit soul, we are servants of Krishna. But technically, when the soul is born in a particular body, it doesn't have any name. So that is the first identification we get. We get attached to that name, and then we get attached to the surname. We get attached to the land in which we are born. We get attached to the relatives. Then we get a college degree. We get attached to that. Right? We get attached to so many medals that we get, certificates that we get. We get so many false identifications. So here it says, so materialistic people have all wrong material identification, misidentification. When Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, they met Lord Chaitanya and Ram Keli, they were so humble they went and approached the Lord and told the Lord that people call us Pandit. People call us that we are great learned scholars, but we are so foolish that we don't know who we are. So that is the reality of today's world. Everyone may think themselves very intelligent, they may have a lot of degrees, but if you don't know who you are, if your basic only is wrong, then entirely the entire material life goes in vain. So Prabhupada explains here, this is typical material calculation, that I am this body, bodily connections, relationships are mine, where I am born is the place of my worship, and people even perform religious rituals, but rituals are also for uh, to satisfy the needs of the body, that's all. Even if people do dharma, it is only for artha and kama, it is not for moksha. People do dharma either to get money or to get sense enjoyment. So in Krishna, in these few words, is explaining the life of a materialistic person. Prakritir guna sammudha, bewildered by the modes of material nature. We already saw in text 27, Krishna explained, Prakrite kriyamanani gune karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. A materialistic person thinks that he is the doer, but actually, who is doing? The three modes of material nature are controlling all of us. So here Krishna says, Prakritir guna sammuda sajante guna karmashu. In this way, people become busy. So Prabhupada writes here, how everyone is so busy in this world. Everyone is busy. You go and ask a person and come and attend satsang. People don't have time. This is like a big disease. People don't have time. We live in an era where everything is fast, right? We developed technologies so that we can get time, correct? People used to use bullock carts before. We have cars now, we have flights now, right? Hardly anyone take a train, you have flight, right? You have telephone, you have emails. You don't have to wait for your letter to reach the other place. No, now it's email. You have every facility. You have washing machine to wash your clothes. You have all these facilities to reduce your, so that you can save time, but still people don't have time. People are too busy to be happy, too busy to give something for themselves, completely engrossed in material identification. So Krishna says, Sajante guna karmashu, they become engaged in material activities. Maya keeps everyone busy. And in terms of spiritual life, Tan akrishna vido mandan. Mandan means lazy to understand spirituality. People are busy in material activities. So a lazy person by definition doesn't do anything. But people are not lazy. People are active in the material field and lazy in spiritual life. And as devotees, we just want to be the opposite. We want to be active in spiritual field, in spiritual life, and lazy in material life. Like Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada was a genius. Prabhupada would go for morning walks in America in different parks. In America, you have very beautiful parks, beautiful landscapes, beautiful ponds, birds, everything. And Prabhupada would say, just see, the materialistic people have worked so hard to make this garden, but we are enjoying the garden. As devotees of Krishna, we are busy chanting Hare Krishna. We don't waste time in all this, right? They do it and we enjoy. So this is called lazy intelligence. Lazy intelligence means you don't waste your time in material technology. So let the scientists do all that, right? The scientists will develop internet and Zoom and flights and everything, and devotees will utilize. Like we have our Krishnanand Prabhu. I mean, devotees are so intelligent. The latest technology is there with devotees. I don't know how many people, definitely a lot of people are using Zoom, but the maximum Zoom is being used by ISKCON devotees only. I can guarantee you this much. Practically every temple around the world has utilized this platform of Zoom. We didn't make it. Someone else did it, but we are using it. We are lazy in the material field. We don't waste time in all this. but we use everything in Krishna's service. We are busy in spiritual life, but the materialistic person is completely the opposite. He's lazy in spiritual life. Manda. Prayena alpa ayushya sabya kalau asmin yuge jana manda sumanda matayor manda bhagya upadrata. So the Bhagavatam explains the qualities of people in Kali Yuga. Less age, their life is filled with difficulties and lazy. This is one of the most defining characteristic of Kali Yuga. Lazy for spiritual life. Lazy for spiritual life. You tell people, they are not ready even to walk a little distance, go a little distance to see a temple. That is why Lord Jagannath has to come out of his temple to give darshan, because people don't have time to go in the temple. Right? So this is the nature of materialistic people. So Krishna says, you will find as devotees of Krishna, we will find these categories of people. How we should deal with them, Krishna is telling here, one should not agitate them, one should not unsettle them. We know that what they are performing is inferior duty. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adokshaje. We know that the highest duty is service to Krishna. But when we find such people, Krishna is recommending here, we should not unsettle them. Right? We should allow them to do what they are doing and slowly elevate them. But Prabhupada is writing something very important in the purport. The second paragraph of the purport here. Men cannot appreciate activities of Krishna consciousness. Generally, people cannot appreciate what we are doing in ISKCON. People may think, just start a hospital, give food to the poor, do philanthropic work. What is this you're doing? Bhagavad-Gita, chanting Hare Krishna. What is all this? People will not understand. People don't understand the science. Yasmin tushte jagat tushtam. People don't know that when we satisfy Krishna, automatically everything in this world will be peaceful. Bhoktaram yagatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suradam sarvabhutanam gyatma maam shantim rachati. The peace formula is to worship Krishna, but people don't understand this. So Krishna is saying, don't disturb them and waste valuable time. So what is Krishna advising? Better to focus on your own spiritual life. Don't waste time preaching to them. But Prabhupada writes something that's very important. Please listen to this. Prabhupada says, but the devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord because they understand the purpose of the Lord. This is like $1 million sentence. Prabhupada is saying here that devotees of Krishna are more kind than Krishna. Very, very important sentence. Krishna is telling here, don't preach to materialistic people, don't waste your time. But devotees take a risk and try to meet materialistic people and convince them. We are in the morning Bhagavatam class, we are reading the story of Vidura. Vidura is such a great soul. He has such compassion in his heart. Dhritarashtra, who was like a gone case, when someone is like fully hopeless, you say gone case, hard nut to crack. Dhritarashtra was like a gone case. Even Krishna gave up on Dhritarashtra. This fellow, no use. No one can make him a devotee. Krishna also tried, Krishna also failed. But Vidura is more kind than Krishna. Vidura didn't give up because he had love for his brother Dhritarashtra. Vidura goes back and preaches to Dhritarashtra and makes him a devotee. So here Krishna is saying, don't preach to materialistic people. Just practice your bhakti. Don't waste time with them. But Prabhupada says here, devotees of Krishna are more merciful and kind than Krishna. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his song he prays, Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite paro, tomar shakati aje. Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays, my dear Vaishnava, my dear Gurudev, Krishna is yours. Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite paro, tomara shakati aje. You are powerful, you can give Krishna. Even Krishna can't give himself to others. Only devotees can give Krishna to others. That right of giving Krishna devotees. So Krishna is generally not even preaching. Krishna doesn't go out of his way to deliver people. Devotees take that responsibility. They understand the purpose of Krishna and they take risk. So Prabhupada writes here, but the devotees are more kind than Krishna. Consequently, they undertake all kinds of risk, even to the point of approaching ignorant men to try to engage them in acts of Krishna consciousness, which are absolutely necessary for the human being. So Krishna is saying, don't waste time with materialistic people. But devotees understand what is the heart of Krishna. And they say, no, we will go. We will take all risk. Just like Nityananda Prabhu. He went to preach to Jagai and Madai. Brajendra Nandana sai, Sachi Sutta hoilo sai, Balarama hoilo nitai. Dina hina yata chilo, Hariname uddarilo, Tara Shakshi Jagai Madai. So Nityananda was so merciful. He goes and preaches to Jagai and Madai, the most sinful people. Nityananda is preaching to them because he understands that this is the mood of the Lord. The devotees are very, very kind, very, very compassionate, filled with karuna. Therefore, they take all kinds of risk. Srila Prabhupada himself, at the age of 70, Prabhupada was well settled in life. At the age of 70, Prabhupada was in Vrindavan. To stay in Vrindavan is not something ordinary. It's an extraordinary blessing. Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, staying in Radha Damodar temple. Radha Damodar temple is considered to be the central point, the hub of the spiritual world, the hub of Vrindavan. So Prabhupada was right there. Whether Samadhi Mandir, Bhajan Kutir of Rupa Goswami is there, Jiva Goswami is there. Prabhupada was right in that temple. But Prabhupada left his comfort zone. For Prabhupada, Vrindavan was his comfort zone. Prabhupada left that comfort zone, took a cargo ship, Jaladuta. It's not a flight. Prabhupada took a cargo ship for days, almost like 30 days. Prabhupada was in the ship, faced 2 heart attacks. Prabhupada went to an unknown land, no money, no followers, so much risk. Why? Because he had compassion in his heart. So Krishna is saying here, don't waste time with materialistic people. But devotees are very, very compassionate. So for all of us, our connection to Krishna is through the mercy of devotees only. Yasya prasadat Bhagavad prasad. Devotees are more merciful than Krishna. Only through the mercy of devotees we can get Krishna. Radharani, she has a big heart. She's the mother. She's the personification of Bhakti. So when we please Radharani, Radharani recommends us to Krishna. So this is what Prabhupada is explaining here, something that's very, very important. How devotees are more merciful, more kind than the Lord, and therefore they take all kinds of risk in order to help others. And it is our duty also, after we understand the value of what we have got in this process, it is important for us also to take certain risk, to come out of our comfort zone. We all have a little cocoon, a comfort zone where we are very happy, settled. But then it's important that we take a little risk. We come out of a comfort zone and try to do something for others. And such kind of devotees are very, very pleasing to the Lord. Krishna explains in the end of the Gita, the 18th chapter, that anyone who preaches the message of Bhagavad-Gita, such a person is very, very dear to the Lord. So if you want to become dear to the Lord, we have to engage in the process of Krishna consciousness. Text 30 is also a very, very important verse. The purpose of Bhagavad-Gita. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasyadhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yuddhasva vigata jara. Word to word, Mai, unto me. Sarvani, all sorts of. Karmani, activities. Sanyasya, giving up completely. Adhyatma, with full knowledge of the self. Chetasa, by consciousness. Nirashi, without desire for profit. Nirmamaha, without ownership. Bhutva, so being. Yuddhaswa, fight. Vigata jwara, without. Translation. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrender all your works unto me with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claim for proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight. One verse, Krishna explains so many things. And Prabhupada says here, the first line of the purport, This verse clearly indicates the purpose of Bhagavad-Gita. The purpose of Bhagavad-Gita in one verse, Krishna is explaining here. What is that? First is Mai Sarvani Karmani. All work unto him. This is the first principle. The purpose of Bhagavad Gita is surrendering everything to Krishna. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Surrendering everything to Krishna. Yad karoshi yad astasi yad juhosi dadasi yad tapasyasi kaunteya tad kurushu madarpanam. Whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we give in charity, whatever sacrifice, austerity we do for the pleasure of Krishna. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti uparatam ashtami prayatatmana. Offering whatever we have in the service of Krishna. This is the first principle. Surrendering all works unto Krishna. Mai sarvani karmani. Adhyatma chetasa means with full knowledge of me. So first is we have to surrender to Krishna. Do everything for Krishna's pleasure. Haritoshanam. Today morning we were discussing from the Bhagavatam. Vidura, when he goes out for this yatra or for this pilgrimage, his main purpose is to satisfy Krishna. And Prabhupada writes that our life is also like a yatra, right? Few days yatra. And the purpose of life is to satisfy Krishna, trying to please Krishna. And how do you do that? Adhyatma chetasa. We need to have knowledge of Krishna. So attending classes and being educated in spiritual life is very important. Srila Prabhupada has given us so many books. Our acharyas have given us so many books. Why they have spent so much energy in writing these books? So much energy has gone into it. Today morning only someone sent me a small video clip of Indradyumna Maharaj. He went to some temple, I think some Gaudiya Mutt, in which the original writings of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami were there. In those leaves, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has written Chaitanya Charitamrita. So all our acharyas, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, when he wrote Chaitanya Charitamrita, he was like 90 years old. I mean, why will a 90-year-old man write a book? Because it is important for us to get educated in these things. Understanding Krishna, Adhyatma Chetasa, having full knowledge of Krishna is very important. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvata tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti swarjana. Understanding Krishna properly is very important. Krishna do not become lazy. Understand Lord Tanya. One should understand Krishna properly. So reading the works of our Goswamis is very important. Rupa Raghunate Pade Hoibe Akuti Tabe Haba Pujabo se Yugala Piriti. Please explain that only when we develop attachment to the books written by the Goswamis, we can develop attachment to Radha Krishna. Adhyatma Chetasa, with full knowledge of me. And then Krishna says, Nirashi. Nirashi means without desire for profit. Generally, when we do things in this world, we do it for profit. What will I get? But Krishna is saying here, no, you don't desire profit. Then why should I work? Only because I am telling you to work. So Prabhupada writes here something that's very beautiful. The Lord is instructing us to practice bhakti as if it is a military discipline. All of you all will be knowing what military discipline is. In military discipline, you don't give excuses. Every day you have to get up, and every day you have to run, you have to do your exercises. Even if you're sick, there is no excuse. You have to do it. That's military discipline. And in the military rule, you don't back answer or you don't question your commander. When your commander tells you something, you just do it. There is no question of counter questioning, not allowed. Similarly, Krishna is telling Arjuna, you do bhakti as if it's military discipline. And military life is not easy. Similarly, bhakti is not easy. So Prabhupada says here, such an injunction may be a little difficult. Nevertheless, one should carry out his duties. So bhakti is not for faint-hearted people. It's difficult. It may be difficult, but still one should carry it out, because this is our constitutional position. Jivera swarup hoy Krishnera nityadas. We cannot be happy independent of the cooperation of Krishna. It is our duty to serve Krishna. So Prabhupada says Arjuna is ordered by Krishna as if Krishna was the military commander. Krishna is telling Arjuna, Arjuna, get up and fight. That's all. Follow my order. So we should develop the spirit of carrying out the order. In military, a soldier becomes strong by following orders, by being disciplined. He becomes mentally very, very tough. Because if a soldier by mistake gets captured by the enemy, the enemies will try to break the soldier mentally. And if the soldier is mentally very strong, he will not get broken. He will come back strong. Similarly, Maya Devi will try to break us. For us to remain strong, we have to follow the rules of bhakti as if it's a military discipline. Our consistency in the path of bhakti has to be maintained. It may be difficult, definitely. Every day getting up in the morning, every day chanting 16 rounds, reading Gita, following. It may be difficult. We may think, hey, let me have a break. But then if we do it day in and day out, we will actually become very strong. So Krishna is saying here, one should work without desire for profit. Nirashi. And Prabhupada gives an example, a brilliant example. A cashier may count millions of dollars for his employee, but does not claim a cent for himself. If you are in a bank, a cashier sitting in a bank, every day he counts lakhs and lakhs of rupees. But he doesn't say, let me put something in my pocket. No. He counts in a detached spirit. Similarly, we should carry out Krishna's will in a detached way. Just like a cashier is detached, similarly, we should realize that nothing in this world belongs to me. Therefore, nirmamo, nothing is mine, without any claim of proprietorship. We are there in this world, but not of this world. We were discussing in our morning Bhagavatam class, Vidurji, when Duryodhan spoke so many harsh words for him, against him, and offending him, Vidura just walked away from the palace. Because Vidura, even while living in the palace, he was in a detached spirit only. Because he knew that this palace is not mine, it is Krishna's. Krishna has given me this, Krishna can take it from me at any time. So he didn't claim that palace to be his own. He was not attached to it like Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra. So when the time came to walk, he just walked out without any sense of feeling bad. He was not at all sorry for it. So this is the spirit, nirmamo. Nothing is ours in this world. We can't claim anything to be ours. We can't even claim our body to be ours. This body is also not ours. We were discussing in the Tuesday Gita class. This body, the material elements are given by Krishna and it is supposed to be used in Krishna's service. Nirmamo. Nirmamo bhutva yuddhasva vigata jwara. So Krishna is saying, Arjuna, you have to bring all these concepts in one place. You have to understand, you have to surrender everything to me. You have to be in full knowledge of me. You have to fight without desires for profit, no claim of proprietorship. In this way, free from lethargy, fight. Vigata jwara. Vigata jwara means without being lethargic. We discussed in the previous verse, the biggest problem for us to advance in spiritual life is lethargy, laziness, complacency. This is the biggest problem. We are always complacent. We don't want to do things that are important. We keep postponing it. We keep postponing it. Spiritual life, if you want to advance, we have to give up this lethargy. We have to give up complacency. We have to develop that kind of fire, the fire that a military soldier has, that zeal, that enthusiasm that a military soldier has. We have to develop that. Free from lethargy, fight. So just few days back, I was having a small discussion with some group of devotees, and there was one elderly devotee from Delhi. He was in the military, Indian Army. Now he's retired. So he was telling me, in the Indian Army there is a saying: the Indian soldiers are called Jawan. And he was saying, what does Jawan mean? Even when the Jawan becomes old, he still remains Jawan. He still has that spirit of a soldier. Similarly, we need to develop that zeal. We need to overcome lethargy, that inertia that keeps pulling us down. those moods that keep shifting, we have to overcome that and become enthusiastic. And in this way, we have to fight. So spiritual life means struggle. Srila Prabhupada would say, chant Hare Krishna, struggle and be happy. Struggle is there, definitely there. Srila Prabhupada had to struggle so much. It's not that Prabhupada had a bed of roses he had to walk on. His path was filled with thorns. He had so many difficulties. But Prabhupada was very, very enthusiastic. So Prabhupada says here that this is the purpose of Bhagavad-Gita. Work in such a way that we surrender everything to Krishna, gain knowledge of Krishna, work without desire for profit, understanding that nothing is mine, nirmamo. And in this way, free from lethargy. Yuddhasva vigata jvara. Krishna is saying, throw off this reluctance. The things that are stopping us, throw it off and get up and fight. So in one verse, Krishna gives us that energy, that motivation that we need in life. Krishna is giving us in this one verse, the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. So now, what will happen if we follow Krishna's instruction? Text 31. Ye me matam idam nityam shraddhan manushanto muchyante pi karmabhi. Word to word, ye, those who, may, my, matam, injunctions, idam, these, nityam, as an eternal function, anutishtanti, execute regularly, manavaha, human beings, shraddhavantaha, with faith and devotion, anushyantaha, without envy, muchyante, become free, te, all of them, api, even, karmabhi, from the bondage of the law of fruitive actions. Translation: those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions, who follow this teaching faithfully, without envy, become free from the bondage of fruitive actions. So what is the result of following Bhagavad Gita? In the previous verse, text 30, Krishna explained the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. Yuddhasva vigata jvara. So if you follow to him, gaining knowledge of him, and in that knowledge fight, we carry out the orders of the Lord without desire for profit and without any claim for proprietorship. Such a person, ye me matam idam nityam, one who executes, a devotee who follows Krishna's order, how? Nityam, every day, as an eternal function. So Bhagavad Gita is not to be applied one day in our life and we become successful. No, we have to follow it every day, nityam, satatam. And second is, so Krishna is saying, ye me matam idam nityam anutishtanti. Anutishtanti also means regularly. Nityam is also regularly, eternal. Anutishtanti is also regularly. So the first principle of how to follow Krishna's instruction is, first is regularly. Second is shraddhavanto, with faith and devotion. Faith is something that is very, very important. We have to have firm faith that definitely we will get success. So Prabhupada writes here, see, it may be difficult for one to immediately follow. Prabhupada says, in the beginning of Krishna consciousness, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of the Lord, but one who is not resentful of this principle and works sincerely without consideration of hope, defeat, and hope, okay. But if you are not reluctant to the principle, if you are sincere, and we are trying, like Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati gave Prabhupada the order to preach in the West in the year 1922. But Prabhupada went to preach in 1966. So 40 years in one sense, Prabhupada couldn't carry out that order. But Prabhupada was not reluctant. He didn't forget it. He kept trying. So we may not be able to carry out the order of our guru immediately, but we should not be reluctant of it. We should not dismiss that order. So if we do it with faith and devotion, so having faith in Krishna is important. That Krishna is telling in the Bhagavad Gita, definitely we will achieve freedom, we will achieve success. We need to have faith in Krishna. And then Nanu Shanto, without envy, we should not envy Krishna and we should not envy others also. Why? Because a devotee is focused on his life. Let's focus on our life, what others are doing, and even if they are making great progress, it's wonderful. We become happy at their progress. We need not envy because everyone has a different journey in life. Everyone has to go through different stages, right? So someone is progressing, you wish them best. Radhanand Swami Maharaj says that even if you don't do great service, if you become happy seeing that others are doing great service, that itself is great. So we can appreciate people who are doing greater service and we focus on our own spiritual life. We don't want to prove anything to anyone. We just want to improve in our own life. So if you follow Krishna's instruction with faith, without envy, regularly, then Krishna is saying, such a person, just 1 minute. Yeah, so such a person, there is surety of success. 100% one will become successful. This is Krishna's guarantee. And then muchyante tebi karmabi, and one will be free from all bondage. That is the result of following Krishna's injunction. And in text 32, Krishna says, if someone doesn't follow Krishna's instructions, what will happen to him? Ye tve etat abhyashuntyo nanu tishtanti me matam sarva jnana vimudam stan etasaha. Word to word, ye, those two, however, etat, this, abhyasuyantaha, out of envy, no injunction, sarvajnana, in all sorts of knowledge, vimudan, perfectly befooled, tan, they are, vidhi, know it well, nashtan, all ruined, achetasaha, without Krishna consciousness. Those who out of envy disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled, and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. So Krishna is saying here, those who don't follow Krishna's instructions out of envy, don't do it regularly, you have to consider that such people are bereft of all knowledge. They may be great scholars, they may have PhD degrees. According to Krishna, they are fools. Vimudam. Vimuda means foolish, perfectly befooled, if you don't follow Krishna's instructions. And then one will be ruined in the endeavor of perfection. So Prabhupada says this is the flaw of not being Krishna conscious. There is no hope for perfection without surrendering to Krishna. So Prabhupada says just like a disobedient citizen is punished, those who don't follow orders will be punished. Durga Devi, she will punish people. So it's very, very important that we have faith in Krishna and we preach to others and make them also faithful. Otherwise, the entire world is going down the drain. Everyone is going to get befooled and everyone's life will be ruined. Hari Hari Vifale Janama Goainu, Manushya Janama Paya, Radha Krishna Na Bajiya, Janiya Shuniya Vishakhainu. After having got this human form of life, if you don't worship Radha Krishna, if you don't follow Krishna's instructions, the Bhagavad-Gita, then Janiya Shuniya Vishakhainu. It is knowingly drinking poison. Spiritual suicide if you don't read Bhagavad-Gita. That's why it's so very important that we read Bhagavad-Gita and preach this message of Bhagavad-Gita so that we can actually save people from ruination and we can lead them to a life of perfection and liberation. Thank you very much. We will stop here at this point. So anyone has any questions, any comments? Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat.
Prabhuji, when we read Bhagavad Gita, though we are not come in a conclusion properly if we're not understanding properly, still we have to address the Bhagavad-Gita in front of the neophyte, or when we met someone, like the preaching of Lord.
You are. Let me see if I've understood your question. You are saying that if we have not understood Gita properly, can we preach to others? That's what you're asking.
Yeah, means if somebody is arguing with some on base of religion or something, still if we know something about the Bhagavad Gita, little also, so we have to face that questions, or we have to give some examples from Bhagavad Gita without knowing the verses, numbers.
Yeah, definitely, we can do that. So Prabhupada said preaching is simple. Whatever you know, you tell. And what you don't know, you just tell people. It's definitely there in Bhagavad Gita, but I'm not aware of it. I can consult someone who knows better. Yeah, but we can definitely preach whatever we know. We can share that, no issue. And if people are asking in a very challenging mode, then we can avoid such discussions also. There is no need to participate, because what happens, until someone is coming and asking in a very submissive way, if it's just a challenging spirit, even if you tell something, it will actually not be very useful. There will not be any transformation of heart that will happen. Right? So challenging fights, we should just not waste time in it. No, but if someone is like very innocent and eager to understand and little humble, we can definitely share whatever we know. Okay. Any other question? Any other comments? Okay. Okay. So let's end for today. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.